Imagine being able.
All right, let's go live. Welcome back, viewers, and welcome, Chef Kevin. Good to see you. Oh, you're muted.
I was just saying
There
we're
we go.
live, so anything can happen, including I can forget to unmute. So there you
Yeah,
go.
that's part of being live. Until AI takes over that as well. So, welcome back. Good to have you here.
Well, it's nice to be back in the AI kitchen, and I'm excited to discuss some interesting news stories that we figured out or found, whatever.
Yeah, and I'm glad we're doing this for a couple of reasons. First of all, we have a bunch of shows that we've done, and they've all been the tips. The tips are great, but I love the fact that we're doing something different and covering the news because I've been doing my research to get ready for the show, and I've been learning new stuff. And I also appreciate the fact that we're doing this live. I love our recorded tips and tricks, but this is only our second live show, but it's a different vibe. It's, like you said, anything can happen. People might show up in the chat, hopefully. So I'm really glad we're doing this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know we try to keep the tips and tricks like shorter so they're bite-sized and focus on one thing, whereas like you, just preparing for this, I learned a bunch of things and I'm super happy to kind of share those with other people, right? Because it's exciting. Like every
Yeah.
week, I can do new things.
So should I go first?
Sure.
Okay, this is a quick story. It's called, I hope I get the name right. Stargate Norway. And OpenAI is partnering up with a couple companies to build this thing, and it is a monstrous AI facility. The megawatts I don't, it's a billion gigawatts is right from the old Back to the Future movie.
Yes.
But by the end of 2026, they're going to have 100,000 NVIDIA GPUs. And, we talk about GPUs being scarce and they're hard to find and they're so expensive and they're so powerful and amazing. They're going to have 100,000 of them cooking in one building. And they said then that's just the start. They're going to expand way beyond that. But what's cool is that, okay, I think they're doing this in Europe because it's good to have, local facilities because they're getting so many queries every day. The amount of just the ones they're getting in Norway, they showed the numbers. It's crazy. Everyone's using ChatGPT, but this is going to comply with the stricter European regulations on everything. So just the way the data is maintained from the technology point of view, but the facility, the sustainability, it's all renewable energy. It's all using hydro power.
Right.
They have lots of water up there, so hydropower. It's cool in Norway, so it's easier to keep it cool. They're pulling the excess heat from it because as they have to cool these things because they get hot, they're sending that to local businesses that are able to use the heat for other things. They're really doing all of this great sustainability stuff, but this is going to be a monster facility, and it's happening. Billions and billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah, so this is part of the bigger, there's the $500 billion Stargate project, right? So Stargate was $500 billion. OpenAI and SoftBank were the key kind of financiers of that, and that's supposed to be 500 billion over 4 years. OpenAI, I think, said we're going to do 100 billion. They're doing some plants in, I think, two data centers in Texas. Um, but as you said, this is around, sovereign data centers in the EU where there are different restrictions. OpenAI is interesting because they're both an investor and then they're, kind of one of the lead users of the data center, right? So I find that, yeah, that's interesting. But I think we're going to see more sovereign data centers. And it's nice to see, quite frankly, the renewable energy use, right? Because even like I have three adult children, and one of my daughter came and said, "Hey, I'm hearing, every time you query ChatGPT or Gemini, it's using whatever, X water or X trees or, and so I think that that is good to be concerned about the environmental impacts, right? So, um, good for Norway.
Yeah. All right. On to our next story.
Yeah, yeah. So let's go. I think I got a slide showing I don't know, the story. Okay, so yeah, so this is so sticking with OpenAI. So this story was from CNBC. I mean, it was covered many places, but on just at the end of July, OpenAI announced study mode. And I thought, well, this is perfect for back to school. One of the interesting little bullets here, the third bullet down, it's like Sam Altman they interviewed. I thought this was interesting. Well, he dropped out of Stanford. Well, I mean, he has done pretty well despite that. But he said he has a very young child. Said, probably he expects, that his child will not go to college. So anyway, I found that interesting. So this study mode is designed to not just give you the answer, but really help you work through because there has been some, those fMRI machines, they put you in a machine and they can see your brain activity. So somehow they did this and they looked at people writing essays using AI, and what they found is there was less brain activity if you were using AI in the normal mode where it just kind of spoon feeds you the answer, or in some cases maybe the entire paper, which is bad. Um, so anyway, so the study mode. So I thought, hey, this is right in time for back to school. So go to the next slide. So, I know certain schools, I'm in Canada here, just outside Toronto. Um, so certain schools start at different times. And so I said, hey, ChatGPT, create me a pie chart showing me when the schools start. And you see it says, here's a pie chart. That's not a pie chart. So anyway, I think that ChatGPT needs to do some study mode. But then I said, hey, that's not a pie chart. So go to the next slide. And then it did give me this. So I was right. If you look at it, so 38%, we're sitting here August 5th. So 38% of US schools seem to start in early to mid-August. So they're going back and they'll be able to use study mode. So anyway, this is, of course, I use AI when I didn't know the answer, right? So, but go to the next slide here. So this is, so with study mode, basically it's available. I thought you had to get a paid subscription, so I actually paid for a subscription, but it seems like it's available now for free subscriptions and obviously the paid ones. So in the upper left there, you basically you pick study and learn, and then I said, hey, I want to learn about retrieval augmented generation, and then it basically, the difference is it asks you like, hey, what do you know about it before, and then it builds on that. So the whole idea is it doesn't inundate you with 20 pages of information that you may know or that's too advanced for you. It constantly kind of quizzes you. I also tried to get it to tell me the answer to solve the very simple math equation, and it said, "Hey, no, let's hear what's the first step." And it literally in this study and learn mode will not just say,
Give you the
X
answer.
equals 5, right? So anyway, I think that this is
Oh,
fantastic. In some of our tips, we talked about the Socratic method or, having AI build a quiz to ask you. But this is all built in, and supposedly they work with 40 different educational institutions. So the way this works is supposed to teach consensus learning, and do good things. So I'd say give it a shot. It was like I learned a bunch about this retrieval augmented generation. So there's that news story.
Nice. I love that because they say like learning like it keeps your brain young. It's good for you. It's like it makes you mentally healthy. When I was learning guitar, people were saying, "Oh, it's good for an old guy to learn guitar." And I felt like it did. I felt like it, I don't know, made me more awake, more alive to be learning something. And recently I used AI to help me update my website. I won't shut up about it. And part of the reason is because the
Yeah.
experience, it was that kind of learning experience. I didn't say, here's the problem with my website. What do I click? What do I download? What do I install? What do I press? I said, explain to me exactly what this is and how it works. Let's go through it slow. And it was like guitar lessons for my website. And it was this learning process, and I was excited to do it every day. I wake up, have my coffee. I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna have my AI guitar lessons, but my website lessons, and this learning process. So I'm excited that they've sort of productized the way we've been using it anyway.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you're going to see more from others. I mean, back in April, Anthropic has a learn mode in Claude, but it's only available if you have like Claude. They have a Claude for Education. So universities can sign up and make it available to their students. What I like about this one from OpenAI is anybody, you can just go there now, even in the free version, and give it a try. And like you, Chef David, I always love learning new things. So like I was super excited like that, just that example. Like I just kept doing it because I'm like, oh, this is cool. And it matches your pace. So if it's too easy, it gets harder. If it's too hard, it kind of backs off. So it feels like the perfect, tutor. And we've talked about how patient AI is. So
Yes.
if you're not cluing in, it's infinitely patient. So yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more of this. Hopefully students, the only thing is you can just go out of that study and learn mode and just say, give me the answer, write the paper. Hopefully people will understand. It's like exercise, right? You can cheat in your exercise routine, but you're only cheating yourself. So
Exactly. All right,
there you
so
go.
let's go on to our next one.
Yeah,
This is another OpenAI story, and at first it didn't seem that impressive until I got into the details of it. And OpenAI, I guess ChatGPT got a gold medal performance at the International Math Olympiad, and it's like, okay, I mean, but then I was thinking about it. First of all, it wasn't that long ago, 5 minutes ago in AI time where we made fun of these things because they were so bad at math, even basic math, right? How many R's in strawberry, right? That kind of
right.
math it can't do. And now all of a sudden it's really good at math. But there were a few things about the story. First of all, I thought this was a custom thing. We're really good at making custom AI that can, AI that's good at chess. This
Right.
was just a general, regular, vanilla open AI thing. It wasn't a special model they made for this. So this is just the state of the art where our LLMs are now. They're good enough, and they did it as an LLM. It competed in the Olympiad as if it was a person, and was given the questions in the same language that the kids got the questions, and it did very well. Well, it got a gold medal.
Right.
So first of all, it's just kind of just showing, okay, so we're there now. But the implications, because being good at this kind of math, and this is a little bit above my head, this wasn't just like add a bunch of numbers really quickly. This is like Einstein Newton kind of math stuff. This is where instead of numbers they're using letters. It's like, okay, there's letters in the math now. Really advanced stuff, and to be able to do that well, you needed a person and slow process. But that's not just kind of cool for math class somewhere. That's stuff we're using for medicine and science and chip design. This is useful stuff that we need right now. So having our LLM being good at this kind of math is going to accelerate a lot of things very rapidly.
Yeah, yeah. So a couple things. So I have a degree in math. So which I love. I love when you're explaining complicated math. You just threw names like Einstein, Newton. That's like a level of math. So anyway, that made me smile. So this Right now, the model, yeah, so these are long proofs, and you had to write out the proof, and it wasn't about just getting the answer right. It was the same rule as for the human participants. And this is very prestigious, like, just being able to answer these questions. There was like 6 questions, and I think it answered 5 correctly. But then they score it. So it's like you need to show your work, and they had like 3 independent human judges, um, and you need to score that. And the very different thing for this model, and they haven't incorporated it, is, as you say, it's based on ChatGPT. They didn't specifically train it, like they didn't say, oh, here's all the questions from the previous years and train on that. They just trained it to be able to go through, be more logical. And one of the things is so like with when you're training a big LLM, you do this reinforcement learning. So you need to, like the model, when you train it, it tries a lot of things, but you need to be able to indicate if it's right or wrong. And the problem with math is of this nature, you don't just get a score for the right answer. You have to show your work. So they
Mhm.
had to come up with some new reinforcement learning techniques that I think, as you said, Chef David, are going to be applicable to science and medicine. And, because a lot of times it is, and we've talked about this with tips and tricks, when you look at the thinking of the model, that's the important thing. Yes, it's important that it gets to the right answer, but how it gets there is equally important. So I think that this is a significant undertaking um, by some really super smart Einsteinian, Newtonian math level people
Yeah,
from OpenAI. So super cool.
very cool. All right, so our last story of the show.
Yeah, yeah, and I got another visual. So like, go to it. Lots of, this is just one of this article is from AP News.
I saw this.
Lots of discussions around, okay, is AI causing these layoffs? And this is a good story because, I will put the link, and it's good to read because it concludes, and I like this. It's nuanced.
It's
So I think that
complicated.
it is, right? So I think you got a lot of, they kind of were saying, hey, a lot of CEOs, when they have layoffs, right? Like we've seen layoffs from Microsoft and a lot of the tech people, sometimes they want to say it's AI, right? And that might be an easy out, but it's a lot more nuanced, right? And it was referenced in this story. So
Well,
so if you
it's a lot easier to say it's AI than to say it's because we're greedy, horrible people that don't
yeah,
care about the people that helped us get here.
that the first
That's
answer
hard.
is
That's harder to say.
yes. So the interesting thing is they did reference in this article, in fact, a study that Microsoft Research did. So if you go to the next slide, I just showed it here. So it's called Working with AI, Measuring the Occupational Implications of Generative AI. And in this study, this is an academic study, so you gotta like read through it, and it's very smart people doing all kinds of fancy math and whatever. Now, this story has been covered as well because in this study, they have the top 40 occupations with highest AI applicability score.
So this is
And
stuff that AI is good at. That's what I'm
this
seeing on
is,
this
yeah,
list. I'm looking like, oh yeah, AI is good at this stuff.
yeah. So when you read the paper, so for example, like completion is like, okay, what percentage can it actually complete the task? And how much of it and how much is it accurate? And so then that comes up with this score. Um, and they base this was actually they base this on data from 2024 using Copilot chat, right? Because it's Microsoft Research. So the thing that I thought about is, man, we're sitting more than halfway through 2025. This was over a year ago. So I imagine, some of these, the complete, the coverage and the
Hmm.
overall score would even be
It's
higher.
only
But
gotten better.
right. So this isn't necessarily saying, okay, AI is going to take away all these jobs, but it is saying that interpreters, historians, I looked on the chart, David, we're safe. There were no AI chefs. It was not listed in the top. But,
But there's
but
news analysts, reporters, and
I know.
journalists.
I know. So yeah,
Writers
so
and authors, we do some
yes,
writing and
we do that.
authoring.
Yes, we do that. So, I think this isn't saying this is the percentage of,
Technical
this particular
writers, we do
job,
that
but
sometimes.
I know.
This is taking three of our jobs right
I
away.
know, but go to the next. So this is what everybody goes. So these were the bottom 40. So, okay, here's a quiz without
So
using
if
AI.
if I am a
What is the first one?
phlebotomist,
What does the first one mean? What is that? It's safe, so you should go into it. But what
that
is it?
that's a doctor who does something gross. It's got to
Well,
be
it's
a doctor
that's
who
a
works with phleboto.
it's a good guess. So I had to, of course, look it up on the internet. I don't know if he used AI, but it's basically it's a technician that draws blood.
Oh, there you go.
So I
Oh,
guess
that's not
that's
too bad. I can do that.
very detailed. Maybe even with the robots, you can't really do that. But so
They're not letting
these are
robots do that yet.
these are basically the ones that, it's saying, hey, AI right now is not able to do a lot of this, and you'll see a lot of physical components to this, right? So
Embalmers, so I can embalm people or I can draw their blood. Is
yeah,
vampire on the list?
I didn't see it. Maybe it's not in the bottom 40. But so this, I think. For me, there's no question that AI is going to, you know, cause job reduction. I think like people, like especially in the contact center, there's no question that, some AI agents are going to replace some human agents. I think a lot of
There's
people
a
like
problem though. I'm terrible at all of these things. I can
the,
change a tire. I can change a tire. But other
well,
than that, I'm looking at this list. I'm like, yeah, you could say just get one of these jobs, right? AI is not going to take these jobs. I can't do any
right.
of these things.
Well, in the short term, until robots come. But I think, and the article did make a good point when we say it's nuanced. It's that, okay, so an example they give is like if coding, if you're a software developer and if AI improves, your coding output by 50%, so as an organization, you could theoretically hire 50% less coders. So maybe as a startup, maybe that's what you do. I guess you could lay off 50%, or you could just deliver twice as much, right? You keep your current workforce. And I think to your point, we're seeing some of these CEOs make shareholder decisions and they're reducing, to provide better margins, they're reducing, some of their labor. So if you don't want to be reduced, that you pick one of these things that Chef David is terrible at. So, well, and
There's
I'm
got to
not
be
good at.
something I can learn to do here.
Yeah, I'm not trusting you to be an oral surgeon. You're not,
No,
there's no way you're sticking any knives in my mouth.
I mean, highway maintenance. I could work on a highway.
Oh, there you
I can
go.
wash dishes. I know how to wash dishes.
Okay, see? So your
So I'm
life is
safe.
good.
I'll always have a career.
There you go,
I
Chef
have
David.
that skill.
Excellent, excellent. So yeah, why don't we go back to the kitchen and maybe any concluding thoughts while you're considering your new career?
Well, it's a little scary, but it's kind of cool. The whole gateway, Stargate project.
Right, right.
It's very Neo in the Matrix. I remember it was the Nvidia CEO keynote where he was talking about and good for Cisco because it seems like they're partnering with Cisco to build some of these. It's not just they're just flipping on old computers. I mean, the way they're building these things, they have them in these racks that are specially designed, and there's a certain distance from each other, and there's a special cable that goes between them because the other kind of cable wasn't good. And they spent so much time talking about the special cable, and it really looks like something out of a movie, and it's so cool. And it's just so that I can goof around with ChatGPT all day. It's really crazy.
Well, and hopefully people are using AI as well for, doing the protein folding and inventing and testing new drugs and, solving the problem of climate change while they're creating lots of heat as well. So yeah, hopefully more than just goofing around, but it
It's a
is
lot of goofing around,
fascinating
though.
and the scale, right? Like, if you have 100,000 GPUs, and they did say to your point that it could be that's just the start, it could be
Just the
10 times
start.
as much. That's a million. Like that then it is important, all the interconnects and the network. And so that's why I think you got Cisco from the whole security and the physical, because Cisco knows how to build data centers, right? So yeah, I think the scale of the infrastructure that is supporting AI. It was funny on that study mode, they said 1 in 3 students uses AI regularly. And I'm like, well, what are the other two people doing, right? Because, it's like 40% of, kind of the US, people in the US, regularly use some form of generative AI. I think OpenAI is up to 700 million active weekly
Wow.
users, right? So it's a lot of people that are using it, and hence you got to build out these giant data centers. You have to hopefully create learn modes so our brains don't turn to mush. So, the stories seem related in some random unplanned way.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Kevin, for being here, Chef Kevin,
There
and
you
got proper titles. And
go.
we'll have a new episode going live tomorrow with tips, and we'll be back next Tuesday live. And should we do a quick teaser? We're going to be at Cedia in person,
Yes, and
September.
it's September 4th and 5th, I think.
Sure,
So it's the
something like
first
that.
first week in September, and the AI chefs are going to be, yeah, in person at CEDIA. It's CEDIA / Commercial Integrator Expo show. I never know how to say that. But yeah, we're going to be doing 8 in-person sessions. And if you're anywhere around Denver, we'd love to see you, and you can do some tips and tricks and have some discussions.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.